How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying, I think, Daf Lamed Hey, Daf 35 of Masechta BavaBasra, friends. Daf 35 is cool. I think it's gonna be relatively small. The Lamed Hey with Aleph is 6 lines. It's interesting, Daf. I think. You ready? Let's do it. So, we're going to start on Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Is it Omer Shel Aveisai? Is it Omer Shel Aveisai? Or Givaldik. So Reuven says that this field belonged to my forefathers. And Shimon says this field belonged to my forefathers. So Be'etzim, they're fighting over the same field. What do? Nobody has more of a proof than the other. It reminds me where we saw the other day, right, with Rav Idi Bar Oven, I think it was. That, he says that he's the closest relative, and some other guy said he's the closest relative. So what do? So Omer of Nachman called the Olam Gvar. Well, whoever's stronger wins. May the stronger fellow win. What do you want me to tell you? There's no way to figure out whose forefathers it belonged to. It seems that they don't have any. Nobody's got more proof than the other one. So what do you want me to tell you? Whoever can manage to get it, gets it. There's not much more we could say. Says Rav Nachman. But why should this be different than, let's say, Shimon and Levi both have documents dated on the same exact day that Reuven gave his field as a gift to them. Shimon's got a document that says that Reuven gave it to him. Levi's got a document that says Reuven gave it to him. Same date on the document, so there's no whoever's got the earlier claim gets it. Same everything. And we don't say fight it out. Rav says split it in half. And Shmuel says, well, wait, why don't we try to see if we could make the best possible evaluation to figure this out? Meaning, who was the closer friend to Reuven? Right? Reuven's giving this field as a gift. Maybe we could figure out who it just, maybe it's just obvious that Reuven would have given it as a gift to Shimon rather than Levi, right? So let's figure it out that way. But neither one of them says let them fight it out. Right? Rav says let them split the field in half. Shimon says, Shmuel says, let the judges try to see if they can make some kind of educated psak over here, but again, neither Rav nor Shmuel say to fight it out. So how come over here, in this case, though, they're be'etzim saying fight it out? Rav Nachman says called the Olam Gvar. So and for the Gemara, well, Hasam leka lemekom ola demilsa. The difference is that by the 2 documents that are dated on the same exact day, you're basically stuck. Nobody's bringing any witnesses that are going to win the case for them. They're both in possession of valid documents from the same exact day. The Rashbam points out, even if one of them maybe one guy can bring witnesses, but mine was in the morning and his was in the afternoon, it's not going to make a difference. It's the same day, and therefore, there's no new evidence here. So Bezdin can kind of take the authority to, Rav would say split it, Shmuel would say make a decision of who to award it to, but over there they basically hit a dead end. So there's no chance of new evidence coming and Bezdin's going to have to reverse the psak or whatever. So in that case you can, you have the machlekes Rav and Shmuel. But in the case of, Reuven says it was my forefathers, Shimon says it's my forefathers, and we're kind of stuck. There is evidence that can emerge. Right? Maybe Reuven will bring witnesses who are going to testify that it was his forefathers. So there. And now Shimon's out. Right? So therefore we're not going to say, let's make an educated guess or something when one of them could bring witnesses. So therefore we're not at the end of the road with the property. And therefore we say, look, Bezdin's not going to make a psak over here. But you're kind of at a stalemate for now. Whoever managed to chap it arayim manages to chap it arayim. What do you want me to tell you? But why should this be any different than the following Mishnah that we've seen before? Hamachlif pari b'chomer v'yolda v'chen amoicha shivchasu v'yolda ze'omer ad shaloi machartu yolda v'zeh omer mishalakachtu yolda yachloiku. We've seen this before. It should be familiar to everybody. Ruvain owns a cow, Shimon owns a donkey, and they say, let's swap. So Ruvain goes over to Shimon's house, and he gives a tug to Shimon's donkey, Mazel Tov. Ruvain now owns Shimon's donkey, and punkt, at that point, at the exact instant that Ruvain takes ownership of Shimon's donkey, Shimon takes ownership of Ruvain's cow. But now, they find out later that Ruvain's cow had a baby. And the shaila is, when did the cow have a baby? If the cow had a baby before it became Shimon's, well then it's Ruvain's baby cow. If the cow had a baby after it became Shimon's, well then it's Shimon's cow. So, but we don't know. And in that case, it's possible that you can have a witness come and say, oh yeah, it gave birth at, such and such a time. Y'all did the Khalifin at such and such a time. So in that case, we're not at a dead end per se. There is evidence that can emerge, and yet we don't say let them fight it out. We say split it. So why don't we say the Zel B'Zachdu? Why don't we say the same thing here by the property? One says it's my forefathers, the other says my forefathers. We're not at a dead end over here. People could still bring witnesses, but we say, so let's say split it. Why does Rav Nachman say, Kol Da'alim Gvar, let them fight it out, and whoever gets it, gets it? Again, why is it any different than the following Mishnah from Kiddushin? Hamachlit Pari B'Chomer, that if, Reuven and Shimon do the switcheroo, V'yolda, and the cow gives birth. Additionally, right, a shifcha is like karke and can be acquired with money. So therefore, if Reuven goes over to Shimon's house and he's selling his shifcha to Shimon, and they make a deal, and Shimon pays Reuven, so at that point the shifcha becomes Shimon's. But they come back and she had a baby. It's the same Shiloh. When did she have the baby? So it's the same Shiloh. We don't know who it belongs to. Right, Reuven, of course, says that the baby was born before the sale, so therefore it belongs to him. And Shimon says, no, mapitom, the birth happened after it was already mine. So we say in that case, split it. They split it. Why don't they say fight it out? We're not at the end of the road over here, right? Potentially a witness can come and we can sort out the time frames. And for the Gemara, Hosom lehai isle dvar d'mameno lehai isle dvar d'mamono hocho I demar le demar v'i demar lo demar. Ho. Do you hear that, Chevre? There's a big difference between the two cases. In the first case of the cow and the donkey, both Reuven and Shimon are shaykh to the cow, right? Reuven was shaykh, it was Reuven's until the sale, and then it was Shimon's after the sale. But everybody's gonna with that's obvious, right? So therefore, the shaila is when was the baby born? Pasha, we don't know when the baby was born, right? We do know that nobody's coming out of left field over here, right? It could be that it was born when it was still Reuben's. It could be that it was born once it was already Shimon's. We don't know, and therefore we say split it. As opposed to our case, Reuven is saying that this field was my forefathers. Shimon, get lost. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing here. This field is mine. This field does not belong to you. And Shimon makes the very same argument. This was my forefathers. I don't know who you are, Reuven. And therefore, you can't split it in half because then nobody's going to be happy. Right? Nobody's making a claim, right? They're making an absolute claim. It's mine, it's not yours. The other one's saying, no, it's mine, it's not yours. So in that case, one of them is telling the truth. The other one is an absolute liar and has no shaykhis bichlal to this field. And therefore, why should we give him half? Right? He has nothing to do with this field. So therefore, in our case, we say, look, Kodal, we don't know what to tell you over here, right? You can't split it in half. Right? Then nobody's going to be happy because both of them feel it's entirely theirs. And the other one, right? Both of them feel that the other one is completely coming out of left field. So therefore, we don't say split it there. Right, that won't work there. So we say, we don't know what to say. So we say, Kol Da'olam Gvar, whoever can manage to finagle it, finagles it. But in the case of the cow and the donkey, we don't know, exactly at what time it gave birth. There's a little bit more understanding over there, right? Keilu, each one is shaykh. Reuven is shaykh until the sale. Shimon shaykh after the sale. We don't know when it gave birth. Right now, there's no witnesses. We don't know. So we say, look, it could be mine, it could be, right? Reuven says, look, it might be mine, it might not be mine. Shimon, it might be yours, it might not be yours. I don't know, let's split it in half, right? Whereas in the case of the land, it's like, no, it's mine, it's not yours. It's not like maybe it's mine, maybe it's yours. No, it's mine, it isn't yours. Whereas by the baby, it's like we don't actually know who it is, so we say split it. Okay, fine. All right. The Nardain say what happens if Reuven is saying it was my forefather's field, Shimon saying it's my forefather's field, where we're kind of stuck, and we're saying Kol Da'olam Gvar, whoever gets it, gets it. You know who gets it? Meaning, you know what ended up happening? What ended up happening is Levi comes out of left field and he takes it. Who's Levi? Levi's he's not claiming that it's his forefathers, but he took it. If Levi comes and takes it, all right, what are we going to do? I mean, it's not like we know if it's Reuven's or Shimon's. We don't know who it belongs to. All of a sudden, Levi's coming and getting mixed up in this, and he takes it. What are we going to do? Take it away from them and give it to who? Right? The Tanu Reb Chia, because Reb Chia taught Gazlan shel Rabim lav shmei Gazlan, a person who steals from the many. And Rashbam says that that's talking about this case when we have this field that might be shaykh to Reuven, might be shaykh to Shimon. Comes Levi and takes it. Lo Shmei Gazlan is not called a Gazlan in that case, and he can keep it. Rav Ashi says no. Lo Lam Shmei Gazlan. No. Levi is a thief. You can't just come and take a property because we don't know if it's Reuven's or Shimon's. That doesn't give Levi the right to come and take it, and therefore we do take it away from him. Who do we give it to? We make it hefker again, and whoever gets it, Reuven, Shimon, whoever gets it, gets it. Umay lo shmei Gazlan. And what does it mean that he's, where am I? Wait, what? Ravashi Omar, the Olam Shmei Gazlan really is called a Gazlan. Umay lo shmei Gazlan. What does it mean when Reb Chia says that he's not a Gazlan? Shelo niton le'eshavon. What it means is that usually if you steal something, you can give it back to the owner. In this case, he has to give it back to them, but it's not, he can't get atonement, he can't get kapara, he can't get tshuva, he can't get atonement for having stolen because he doesn't know who to give it back to. Person steals and he gives it back to the person who he stole it from. Okay, so, he stole, he did something wrong, but okay, he gives it back and they kind of move on. But in this case, he doesn't know who he's giving, so he has to give it back. He can't keep it, he's a thief, he has to give it back. But we don't know if it's Reuven's or Shimon's, so he can't really get a proper kapara over there. Because he doesn't know who he's giving it to, so he's just making it hefker. So he has to give it back. He can't hold on to it, but he also can't get proper atonement because he doesn't know who to give it. He doesn't know who he's giving it back to. So I think we're finally moving on to the next part of the Mishnah. I can't remember if we moved on to any other parts of the Mishnah. So Chazkosan Shalosh Shonim Yom Liyom v'chulei. So we said in the Mishnah that the Chazaka, Chazkas Abatim, what else do we have? Borashich and Myers, whatever we had there, all of those things we said that the Chazaka is 3 years, 36 months. Okay? Chazkosan Shalosh Shonim Yom Liyom v'chulei, 3 years from day to day. Omer Reb Abba Idoli le iu gufe tzona de peri le alto avechazaka da 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 da. So says Reb Abba something givaldig, which is sure we say 3 years. Meaning Shimon, right, when Shimon sells his field to Reuven, after 3 years, if he loses the document, he has a chazaka b'seder. But says Reb Abba that if on day 1 Shimon is assisting Reuven, he's loading up stuff that he harvests onto Reuven's back so Reuven can take it home with him, well then you don't need to wait 3 years. Meaning, when does a chazaka not work? Chazaka doesn't work if Shimon is moche, if he says, hey, this isn't Reuven, this is mine. Here we see punkt fakert. We see the opposite. Shimon isn't saying, hey, this isn't Reuven, it's mine. He's saying, Reuven, let me help you. Take it to your house. What greater indication is there that it's really Reuven's and that Shimon sold it to Reuven than Shimon helping Reuven take the produce to his house? So Rababo had gesagt, if Shimon himself picked up tzana de peirei, a basket of fruits, and he's giving it to Reuven, so Reuven can take it home. That's immediate chazaka. Right? Shimon's clearly proving that it belongs to Reuven. Amr of Zvid says of Zvid, v'imtoan v'omar. But if Shimon turns around and says, whoa, what you're drawing the wrong conclusion over here. You're seeing me help out Reuven, so therefore you want to assume that I sold my field to him? No way, no how. V'imtoan v'omar, if he says leperis harativ, he's a sharecropper. He works my field, and in exchange, he takes part of the produce. And I was giving him the produce that belongs to him. But it's my field, I didn't sell it to him. Ne'eman, okay, so Shimon's believed. It's a compelling argument. Okay, he's a sharecropper. He's not the owner of the field. But that's within the 3 years. But not after 3 years. So if Reuven says, okay, I've been here 3 years, Shimon, you sold me the field, I've been here for 3 years, it's mine. At that point, Shimon can't just say like, what? No, you're a sharecropper. It's too late. It was within the 3 years, Shimon would have to say, hey, Reuven, or he would have to be mocha and say, this field does not belong to Reuven. It belongs to me. He's just a sharecropper here. But if after 3 years, when Reuven says, I'm the owner of this field and I have a chazaka, Shimon can't all of a sudden wake up and say, what? You're just a sharecropper. No, then it's too late. But then Rav Ashi asked Rav Kahana, maybe you're wondering the same question. But what if it's true? What if it's true? What if Reuven was a sharecropper on Shimon's land for 3 years, and then all of a sudden after 3 years Reuven saying, Shimon, you sold me the field and I have a chazaka, and Shimon says, what? You were a sharecropper, and Shimon's telling the truth. Well, he loses his field? So Amar Lei, so Kana says, look, Shimon needs to be mocha within those 3 years. Meaning, one second, yeah, exactly. Meaning, at some point within those 3 years, Shimon needs to, say prior to witnesses, hey, this is my field. This is not Reuven's. Reuven is a sharecropper on my field. Once he says that, Reuven can no longer make that claim, right? So Shimon needs to make sure that within the 3 years that Reuven is sharecropping on his land, he clarifies that it's Shimon's land, it's not Reuven's land. Because if you don't say this, Hani mashkanta de surah, the kosabu b'mishlam shnaya ilain tepuk ara double kesef, he covers the shtar mashkanta gabi v'am lekuchi b'yodi ochinam dem eimen. Misakne rabon mide de osibe lidei pseudo. Eli boyle le machuye ochinam boyle le machuye. Because what about mashkanta de surah? Mashkanta de surah comes up from time to time. I think it just came up yesterday, the day before. Mashkanta de surah is that Shimon lends Reuven money, and in exchange Reuven gives Shimon his field. Let's say Reuven gave Shimon his field for 5 years, and the deal is after 5 years Shimon gives the field back to Reuven, and they're even. Reuven doesn't need to pay back Shimon money. Shimon uses the field for those 5 years. At the end, Shimon gives it back to Reuven, and they're even. What happens if at the end of the 5 years Shimon hides the document that spells out their arrangement? So all of a sudden the document is nowhere to be found. And Shimon says, this is my field. I've been here for 5 years. Nobody's giving me a hard time about it. So Reuven's going to lose his field, right? If Shimon says, you sold me this field and I have a chazaka, Reuven loses his field. So how do we avoid that? Well, within 3 years, Reuven needs to, right before there's a chazaka, Reuven needs to clarify, hey, people, this is a mashkanta for a loan. It doesn't belong to Shimon. At the end of our agreement, it's going to go back to me. I own the field, right? So that's necessary, right? Because otherwise, right, how do you deal with this mashkanta desuri? He's going to push it, lose his field. So there has to be a way to solve for it, and that way to solve for it is that within 3 years before there's a chazaka, the owner of the field clarifies that he is still the owner of the field. Right, again, because if you don't say like this, Hani mashkanta desur, this mashkanta desur, the chosabu that it says b'mishlam shnai ilin, that at the end of this period, let's say 5 years, tepok ara double okesef, this land goes back to Ruvain and we're even. Ikavish le'ishtar, what if Shimon, hides away the document, shtar mashkanta gabe, and he changes his story and he says, oh, I'm the owner of this property. Ruvain sold it to me and I have a chazaka. So maybe we would believe Shimon. Would the rabbis be misaking something that would cause Reuven to lose his land? Rather, what needs to happen is simply before there's a chazaka, Reuven needs to clarify that he is still the owner of the land. And the same thing would apply in our case as well. If Reuven is a sharecropper on Shimon's property, Shimon needs to clarify at some point before there's a chazaka that, hey, Reuven is just a sharecropper, I am the owner of the land. Hi friends, well that was Daf Lamed Hey, Masechta BavaBasra. There was some interesting stuff there, the concept of Kol Olam Gvar, that when you basically had a stalemate, and you had and Daf gets not a sort of a dead end, right? You kind of had a stalemate where kind of we don't know who's right and who's wrong, so we can kind of say, well, let them fight it out. There are other scenarios, though, where we would say split it or let the Bezin try and figure it out. That was some interesting stuff over there. We also talked about how you can kind of, what do you do if you have like a sharecropper or mashkanta desura, and so to prevent the person turning around and claiming that he has a chazaka, the owner would have to kind of be moche before there's a chazaka in order to prevent the person who has the chazaka from being able to snatch his land away from him. Peace out.